Hello, everybody. My guest today is Jeremy Blalock. He is currently the co-founder at a company called Foundry or foundryplatform.io. Previously, he was the co-founder and CTO of Politify and Outline.com. He's also a former U.S. national champion cyclist. Jeremy, you ready to take us to the top?
I'm ready when you are.
All right, man. What does Foundry Platform do and how do you guys make money?
Yeah, so Foundry is basically a tool that is supposed to be the quickest and easiest way to build a mobile application. And we charge, a basic SaaS fee monthly. And customers are building amazing mobile applications and launching them on our platform.
And are these like enterprises, the McDonald's that want to launch an app for every geography, or like SMBs that just want to get something off the ground?
So it's about half split between enterprise and startups who are building their first products.
Interesting. Okay. And so give me a general sense. On average, what are they paying per month for your tool?
So right now it's a flat $200 a month fee, which makes it easy. But going forward, we do have plans to have an enterprise seat-based fee and then a different plan for the startups, like I mentioned.
I want to come back to why you made that decision to bring on those new plans, because I think it'll be fun. But give me the backstory first. When did you launch?
Sure. Yeah. So we launched a beta this January with 7 customers. And the first couple of those apps have launched now. There's about 5 in the App Store. And then now we're just trying to build up to a bigger public launch and then bring out a bunch more customers and grow from there.
So how many customers today do you have? I guess you added them only over the past 6 or so months.
Yeah, it's small numbers, and it's still kind of a beta mode. So we have about 15 total, 7 paying, and then planning to grow from there.
I love that. So 7 folks at $200 a month, so about $3,000 per month right now in revenue. How'd you find those first 7 customers?
Well, it's a little less than that. I think the math's like about 1,200. So there's a couple discounts.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So we found those first few through primarily posting on a couple of forums, and then from a couple of conferences.
Okay, wait. Which forums did you post it on?
Well, actually, it was the internal startup school forum last fall. We had a couple leads from there.
Interesting. Startup school. You mean the YC one? Yeah. Are you YC company?
YC Startup School last year. Yeah.
No. Did you go through YC?
Not the proper program. No.
Got it. Okay, so posted on the internal startup school forum, and then which conference did you go to that got you customer? Jeremy, what conference did you go to that brought in customers?
So we went to the Startup Grind conference in Redwood City, and there's a couple other design conferences as well, but that was the main one.
Okay, you said the Startup Drive?
Startup Grind in Redwood City.
Oh, Grind. February. Got it. Very cool. Okay, good. And then flesh out the team for me. How many folks are you?
Yeah, so we're 4 people. Myself, I kind of handle a lot of the technical side and administration stuff. David is our head of design and also works with a lot of our customers. Ben runs product and operations, and then we have another developer as well.
And you guys have bootstrapped, or have you guys raised?
We raised a little bit of a pre-seed back in March. We were bootstrapped until that point.
Okay, so how much total in the company?
About 600.
Okay, and is that panning out how you thought it would, or do you regret taking that capital on?
No, I mean it's been good so far. We had a pretty long build cycle before we even really were able to get to this beta. We started the company in fall of 2017, and so it was just myself building it first, and then I brought on Ben and David, and we had gone for a little over a year. So at that point, we were pretty low on capital. All the money we had put in. So it was good to have a little infusion.
So no money, no revenue 2017, no revenue 2018. You turned revenue on January 2019.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
And 2017 we started pretty late in the year. So it was just most of the 2018.
Yeah, that's good. That 600 grand, that was on a note, I assume, or was it priced?
That was a note, yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Okay, so how do you scale from here? You mentioned you're going to bring on new price points. Why? What have you learned from these first 7 customers that call it $200 a month, where you're going, oh my gosh, we have to change pricing?
Well, I mean, look, at $200 a month, I think is still not a bad entry point, but for some people that can be a little bit scary. When you're just onboarding, 200 is kind of a big number. People like the 50 to 100 range. So the way we've looked at enterprise is enterprise, and then the 200 also doesn't really scale, right? So you start at 200, you bring out a bunch more users. Right now, that's a fixed fee. So for enterprise, the value is really based on how many users are using apps built on your platform. And if you have 60,000 employees, that's going to be a lot more than just $200 worth of value.
Are these apps for internal use usually, for the employees to use?
For enterprise, it's primarily internal. For the consumer startup side, it's primarily, a primary product, their external facing product.
Interesting. Yeah, because you're actually at a very dangerous price point right now, right? You are
Right.
you know, like, and the reason I say that, I don't mean to be like, scare anybody, but $200 a month at 2,400 bucks per year, right? You're more expensive than what people feel comfortable doing no touch credit card checkout on your pricing page, but you're not expensive enough to afford to put an account executive on it. Right. So
right. So that's where we're kind of going to push those two in opposite directions.
And I'm surprised you're going to try and do both. I'm surprised you're not going to cancel out one and go all in on the other, whichever way you decide to go.
Yeah. I mean, I think that at some point we may decide to focus more on one or the other, but right now we've had a good base of companies on the startup side. And so there's no reason to kind of cut those completely and go full enterprise while we're still building that up. It takes a lot more time to get the enterprise customers, and we need that feedback on a continuous basis from the startups right now. Just building the product is a lot easier working with them.
Yeah. Why would you take feedback from startups to drive your product vision when you know that maybe in the long run you're going to be enterprise and that the needs of the enterprise are going to be very different than the startup anyway?
Sure. And I mean, I think in a lot of ways, building mobile applications, there's a lot of similarities between the two. And sure, you're right that a lot of the needs in terms of data and in terms of functionality like SSO, et cetera, are different on enterprise. But the actual app building experience is kind of the same across both. So that part is shared. And when we looked at a lot of the feature sets, all the major things we wanted to build were applicable to both. And there was no reason to, say, specify one at this point. And
is this like a developer SDK that you're passing off, or is it more like what you see is what you get kind of drag and drop editor inside a website?
Exactly. Yeah. It's online and it's an editor that you can use visually.
So marketers can use this without bugging their dev team.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a lot of the value is we see non-technical teams building apps for kind of purpose-specific things that they couldn't get developers on previously.
Yeah. And then probably too early to tell, but any idea what churn is?
Right now it's been super low, but as you're saying, it's very early.
Yeah. And then have you actually tested any kind of paid acquisition? Do you know what your fully weighted CAC is to get a $200 a month customer?
We haven't done any real tests all the way through the funnel. We've gotten people to sign up, and that was about $20, but we didn't get anybody all the way to paying yet.
Okay, got it. So you still have 100 signups at $20 a pop, but you haven't converted any to paid from them.
We just haven't pushed any harder there yet.
Okay. And why haven't you pushed there?
Well, we have the actual credit card Stripe integration yet, so we launched that about a week ago, and now we can do that. But we haven't gotten back to it yet.
Okay, got it.
So previously we were just doing kind of invoice-based stuff.
Yeah. Okay, very good. And then last question on kind of aggressiveness. So there's 4 of you guys. I assume you try and keep your salaries super low, but what are you burning right now per month as you look to scale revenue?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's about $15K, so pretty conservative. And that's up from what it was a lot lower before we brought on the extra engineer. But as low so that we can grow it, but we're trying to grow as quickly as possible now that we are wrapping up for a big public launch.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, if you raise $600,000 and you're burning $15,000, I think what that gives you 30, 40 months of runway. So plenty of time to figure stuff out.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, that's great. Any plans to raise capital in the next year?
Well, I mean, depending on how the launch goes and how the customer growth goes, we can see that it would be valuable perhaps in about 9 months to a year to raise more money, probably a proper seed round.
Yep.
It'll all just be dependent on how fast the growth is, whether we need it or not. Though,
when is the public launch?
Public launch right now is slated for sometime in June or July.
Okay, July 2019. Yeah, that's great. So this interview will be live. You will have already launched publicly by the time that the interview goes live, which will be good. Cool. So people can go check it out. Very cool. Okay, so let me see here. You've got 4 folks on the founding team. Talk to me about kind of the tough conversations around equity, right? 4 people is a lot to get to agree to the equity split starting off. How'd you guys have those tough conversations?
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, it was even tougher because I started out basically solo and then brought the other 2 guys on. It's actually 3 of us as founders. One more is just an engineer who's an employee. And it was definitely tough though. You just have to think about kind of what unique values is everybody bringing to the team and split it up based on that. That's, I think, the only way to really do it.
So let's mock real quick. Let's say I'm one of the co-founders, you and I in a room and we're like, okay, listen, Jeremy, I've seen enough traction here. We're going to build something together, but we've got to figure out equity. So I'm the technical guy. I'm coding stuff. What, in other words, in that meeting, what were some of the verbal things people said as they tried to say, here's the value I'm bringing to the table?
Sure. Well, I mean, and my background, I'm a developer, so I'm doing that side of it. Ben and David, both non-technical, so that definitely shifts it a little bit, but not to put them down at all. they had a lot of background that was unique to the product we're building. So they were working at a company called Second Street, which builds email marketing tools for news agencies. And so that tool has a lot of the same kind of no code aspects. And so they had a lot of unique, like that's a lot of the value prop. And also their customer base was similar in a lot of ways to the customers that some of the early customers we're going for.
So did their two equities added together equal more than yours or no?
Yeah, there's two together is slightly more than mine.
But you're bigger than both of them separately.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. So we can kind of do backwards math there, but good. Those are tough conversations, but they're really important and no one ever talks about them.
Nope.
All right. Very good. Let's wrap up, Jeremy, with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
Sure. That would be The Hard Thing About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying right now?
I really like what Ryan Peterson has done with Flexport. I like his ability to have side hustles while doing the main thing, and also having a unicorn now is pretty cool.
Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building your company?
I'd probably have to say Full Story, because that lets us just kind of see directly what our users are doing and really optimize things.
Yeah. Number 4, how many hours of sleep are you getting every night?
Well, I try to get 8, but it's been about 6.5 lately.
And what's your situation? Married, single, kiddos?
Single, no kids.
Okay,
just
good.
Doing the bachelor thing.
Yeah. I know. I appreciate that. And how old are you?
I'm 27.
27. Last question. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
I mean, I just wish I had gone out and done stuff. Obviously, I was working on Politify when I was 20 years old, but there were a lot of things that I was afraid to do because I didn't know if I knew enough or I had enough experience, and I should have just tried it.
Yep.
Why not?
Guys, there you have it. Try stuff sooner. Coming from Foundry platform, Jeremy, they've got about 7 customers paying $180 per month right now, so about $1,200 per month in revenue. Public launch coming up here later this year. They've raised $600,000 right now. They're burning about $15,000 per month on a team of 4. Again, helping people drag and drop together mobile apps. They're moving both to the enterprise and SMB, so they resist getting stuck in the middle, hoping that the public launch allows them to go raise another, maybe a seed round in 9 to 12 months. Jeremy, thanks for taking us to the top.
Thank you.